Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to a brand new episode of my weekly playlist series. Now, if you guys are new to my channel or you've never checked out this series before, I actually created this series 2 years ago, and one of my big motivations for creating it was because of a big goal that I created for myself, and that was to play more games in my collection. I've been buying and collecting a lot of games over the years, especially like the last 10 years, pretty hardcore. I've been building up my collection. I've got a massive wall of games behind me. But one of my goals was, I wanted to start enjoying these games and playing them more than just only collecting them. And so that's why I decided to create this series to go over the games I play with you guys each week. And so that's why I try to release these videos on Fridays before I go to work. I usually been filming these pretty late, like tonight. It's like 3 in the morning here on Friday morning. I usually film these videos. I go to bed, then I wake up, upload these videos, eat, and then shower, and then end up heading off to work. So every week, I like to go over the games I play with you guys and let you guys know my thoughts on them. And I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on the game because I do love getting discussions going and just chatting about games. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I just love, talking about games with others. And then I also like to hear about the games you guys play because that gives me ideas on games to check out. I loved all the different games I heard you guys playing because that actually has piqued my interest and made me want to play a couple of games. So I do appreciate that. And then I do love getting recommendations on games you guys think I should check out because I have played a couple games on your guys' recommendations, and I also have a nice growing list of games for me to eventually check out, whether I already own them or maybe I'm going to buy them or something, or check out a demo or something and see if it's something I would like to add to my collection. So I do appreciate any recommendations is all they get. And then, so this series, you guys will see every Friday that I release it. I'll go over the games that I played during that week. So this week I have two games to share with you guys that I have been playing on my Xbox One. Again, this is another one of those weeks that I didn't get as much gaming in as I wanted to in the past couple months. I was able to get a lot of gaming in these last few weeks. Unfortunately, I just have been busy with life and doing stuff. I want to play some, games, and I just haven't had a whole lot of time to. But this week I did play two games here, and they're two games I have played before, but this other one here, I actually didn't play this on this particular console. So the first one here, and they're both for Xbox One, is Warhammer Chaosbane, and this is a great isometric top-down action RPG. Plays like the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games, your Diablos and stuff that I've talked about. It's one of my favorite action RPG genres. I love these top-down ones. I just can't get enough of them, and I picked this one up last year for fairly cheap, and I've been continuing my game in it, and I'm really enjoying it. Actually, a couple months ago, I was able to buy the Slayer edition of this, which came with all the DLC content, added a new um, class that you can play as character, and then like a witch hunter, and then it also added some new enemies, it added new equipment and stuff, and added new story and campaign stuff to the game, which is awesome. You can play with up to 4 players in this game, which is great. I like a lot of these that have that multiplayer option. I don't really have anybody to play with, but it would be cool to play with them. Of course, you have your standard. You can play as your mage, you can play like your warrior, your rogue characters. I always play as mages because I'm a big fan of the mages, and I do really enjoy this game. Now, I definitely would not say this one is as good or as in depth as like Diablo 3 on Xbox One and 360 is. Just the customization just isn't as much as you have in those games, and there's really not a market that I've known. Like you kind of just donate the your extra loot weapons, and then you unlock perks and stuff that way. But there's no really like selling them for money. I haven't run into a merchant at least. It does have really decent voice acting in this game. There's some pretty famous voice actors in the game, which I do like, and it does have a really decent story. It controls really well. This is one of those isometric ones where you cannot adjust the camera. Sometimes in the games, you can rotate the camera, you cannot adjust the camera. But this does have a dodge mechanic where you can use the right stick to actually dodge around, and I do like that because that was also in Vikings Wolves of Midgard, which is another top-down game that I've been playing, but I've taken a little break from that one. I just had not played this one in a while. I decided to revisit, and especially because I had the Slayer edition. I definitely wanted to check, and I wanted to get the physical version of the Slayer Edition. Unfortunately, they didn't release a physical for Xbox One. It's only for the Xbox Series X and only for PS5, not PS4. So the only way to get that Slayer Edition content is actually buy the digital version of it, which kind of sucks, because I wanted to get that copy so I could have the permanent DLC on disc, but unfortunately I can't. But if I do someday get a Xbox Series X, I'll pick it up on the Xbox Series X. But definitely check this out if you guys are a fan of those top-down isometric action RPGs like I am. I just can't get enough of these games, and I like going through and beating the stories on this. I'm still fairly early into the game of this, just because this is one of those games, that can take a long time, especially if you want to grind. I have a huge variety of crazy, like, demon creatures. You have these little demon imp guys, and you have zombies, and you have mages and skeletons, and then you have these big, ugly, fat Jabba-looking creatures who have like an extra mouth where their stomach is, that can shoot out poison and stuff, and they just look like ugly, big ass, nasty Jabba women things. They're just weird and ugly that you can kill, but I do really like this game. It's just really fun. I like the combat, I like the characters, the voice acting, the story. Overall, just a really fun game that I definitely think you guys should give a try to. And it's fairly cheap. Unfortunately, that digital sale is no longer on. So if you want to get the Slayer Edition, I think it's back to like the $60 or $70 that they're charging. I got it on sale, so I would keep an eye out for a sale on it. And if you're a fan of these isometric action RPGs like myself, definitely give Warhammer Chaosbane a try. I waited for a while to find this locally cheap, and I ended up finding it. And now, if you can find a copy in my local area, it goes for like between $10 to $15 for a copy, and it's definitely worth picking up for that and checking out. So definitely give Warhammer Chaosbane a try, especially if you're a fan of the Warhammer series. You definitely will not be disappointed with this. A lot of variety of characters to play as, and the combat is done well, and I like the story, so definitely check it out. And the other one we're going to talk about here is another top-down isometric RPG. This is kind of like, the daddy of them all, and that is Diablo 3, but this is the Eternal Collection. I actually just bought this recently at GameStop. Had a good sale on stuff, which you guys actually see this in my next pickups video. But I had Diablo 3 on Xbox 360, and I went through and beat that with my mage character, and I actually uploaded that to the cloud, and I was actually able to import it in here to my Xbox One copy. Now, I did buy the Diablo 3 like Reaper's Souls edition that was on Xbox One that had the extra content, but then I knew that they released another version that actually gave you the Necromancer character, which I didn't want to have to pay to download. I just knew eventually I would get this Eternal Collection physically, and GameStop had a good sale, so I picked it up, and I decided I wanted to go through and play the game again, because I never played the expansion, and I only beat the story once, and I really enjoyed it, but I've completely forgot about it because it was, a few years ago, and I don't remember anything about it, so I decided to pop it in and play through it again. And playing this on the Xbox One, it's enhanced a lot compared to the 360 version. The graphics are better, there's faster loading times, there's not as many glitches or errors that I noticed when I was playing the 360, or screen tearing or anything. Very smooth animations, voice acting, everything is just much better on the Xbox One, and I have the Xbox One X just because it's a much more powerful console. So definitely glad to have that, and I always wanted to play this Necromancer character ever since I heard about him, that he was coming out, because you get to summon dead creatures and stuff. And one of my favorite characters from Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 was a guy where you could summon skeletons and stuff. So I always like Necromancer character, because I do like mages. So like I said, I have my mage character, but now I also have my Necromancer character, and I'm going back through the story, and I'm just in the very beginning of this game. I've only played it for a couple hours, and like I don't remember anything of the story. Like, usually these kind of games, I remember the story and I'm able to get back in it, but I'm like, man, did they like alter the story in the campaign from when I played it on 360? Because it seems like it's a little different, or did I just really forget it? So I'm not sure if I forgot it, or maybe they adjusted the campaign a little bit different, or maybe because I'm playing as the Necromancer that it's a little different. But either way, it's like a whole brand new experience for me. And then, like I said, I never did get to go through the expansion, and it's something I really like. Now, this is definitely like your top of the line isometric action RPG games. You know, the Diablo series is amazing. I've been playing them since the original 1 and 2 that I played on the computer. So number 3 is awesome. I know we're eventually going to get Diablo 4, so I'm looking forward to that. But this is like the Mac Daddy of the isometric game, just because they put so much content in these. The controls are done well. There's a huge variety of weapons to choose from. There's a variety of different characters to play as. You know, different skills you can unlock, so you can really make the character and play the way you want to. And I'm having a blast being a necromancer because I can summon different enemies, and it really changes the whole dynamic of the game by being a necromancer. Because the higher you level up, which I think I'm at like level, no, what am I now? I think I'm like 13 or 14, level 13 or 14 now. And the higher you get your character's level up, you know, the more powerful he gets and the better spells you unlock. Like I have one right now where I always have 7 skeletons summoned, so that's something that's pretty cool. But then I can also summon wraiths and stuff, and then eventually I can unlock golems, and then I can unlock some raising like armies of dead. And what's really cool is you can kill enemies, but since you're a necromancer, you can revive them to fight for you on your side. And I heard in one of the reviews though that at some point with your powers and stuff, and there's, you know, like you have your pets basically, like you're summoning the skeletons. And the other thing is that you can have like 50 of them on screen at once. Now they're not all permanent because some of them only have a little timer and only last a little while, but you could be in a tense boss fight or something and have like 50 dudes on you. And they mentioned that, you know, that, and I've noticed it myself, that like, you know, you might start at the beginning a level, it kind of gets difficult, but as you kill more enemies, you know, you can start getting more people on your side. And so it's nice, you know, to have like 10 or 15 skeleton guys, you know, fighting around enemies, because sometimes this game will throw a ton of guys at you. And of course, there's different difficulty levels. I'm just playing it on the normal right now, but they have, you know, like your harder and like a super hard level. The highest, of course, the harder difficulty you play, the more XP and stuff you unlock and things you can get. They've added some new modes to this as well, besides just the campaign mode. But I just want to go through this main story, and then eventually do want to go through that Eternal or the Reaper of Souls expansion pack. And I'm just so glad of this. I'm really surprised though that they didn't release more DLC for Diablo 3 because it was a really popular game. And I know it sold well and people loved it on PC, but it's just sad that they only basically had a character DLC pack and then one story thing, where like Diablo 2 and stuff, you know, like they released more DLC for those games compared to these ones, but I guess they wanted to save it for Diablo 4. But definitely give Diablo 3, especially get the Eternal Collection if you can, because this gets you all the content. And it's best just to play these games with all the content at the start, where you can have everything there. If you play this on the 360 like me, you can import your save, which I did, so I have my mage. And one thing I really like about this is all your characters actually can share a stash thing, so your different loot and stuff you found, your armors, your weapons and stuff, shields, whatever, you know, can carry over for all your characters can use. And you also share money. And so I had a couple $100,000 in gold coins. So my new character now has money, so I can actually buy things I need for him, which is great. And I just like his different abilities. One thing that's really cool is he can steal the life energy from enemies he kills. And because I have him, when I kill enemies, their corpses actually leave a little, like a corpse body on the ground, and I can use that and make it explode or do other stuff with it. So it's really cool playing as a necromancer, and he's quickly becoming my favorite character to play as in Diablo 3. And it's definitely one I think you guys should check out. And like I said, you know, I consider this like the Mac Daddy just because this has, you know, like the best of the best, and has the features that some of the smaller published games from smaller studios and stuff don't always incorporate all the stuff that like this Diablo top tier type game does. You know, I like the huge variety of weapons and stuff that you can choose from, and the stats and stuff, and you have the different, you know, your basic kind, but then you have like your legendary and like epic ones. So, you know, you can get your higher tiered level things you can find from enemy spawns, and that's generally how you get in these kind of games. Is, you know, there's no point in trying to buy the loot because, you know, you usually get it from killing enemies and stuff. But it has a great story that I think you guys should check out and play. And it's another one of those games which you can play with up to 4 players online. And just something that's really fun. This is another one that I haven't really played multiplayer. I played the Diablo 3 on my 360 with my brother a little bit when he still had his 360 before he gave it to me, and I enjoyed that. But this is another one that I just don't really have anybody to play with, and I don't like playing with too many. Don't really like playing with random people too much, especially these kind of games, because I just like to play at my own pace and go through the story, and not rush through. And some people kind of rush stuff, and I don't like having to deal with that. I just like to play it for myself and enjoy the story. But you can play it co-op, so that's something you guys can look forward to. But definitely check out Diablo 3 and get the Eternal Collection because you get everything in it. And I've just been having a blast with this game, and I think you guys will enjoy it too. So we'll do a quick little recap. I talked about Warhammer Chaosbane, isometric top-down action RPG. Not as good as like Diablo 3 that I just talked about, but it's still up there as a pretty good game. It has wonderful voice acting. It's another game that has a variety of weapons to choose from. Your staves and swords and bows and pikes and spears and maces and stuff. Just a huge variety of weapons and shields, all kinds of different characters to play as. And if you get the Slayer edition like I do, you actually get this witch hunter character, which I want to check out because that seems kind of cool. And it actually has guns and stuff that he uses, which is pretty cool. And it just has a unique story that I really think you guys will enjoy. And then, of course, we talked about Diablo 3, like the Mac Daddy of top-down action RPGs, the top tier game in these series that I think you guys should check out. So definitely check out Warhammer Chaosbane and Diablo 3, the Eternal Collection. 2 games that'll keep you busy for many, many hours. And if you're a fan of those action, top-down isometric action RPGs like I am, you just can't get enough of them, and you've not played either of these games, add both of these to your collection. You can get them fairly cheap, especially at GameStop. You can get this one right now. They've reduced the price on it. You guys should definitely pick it up. Definitely recommend both of these games. But I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. If you guys have played either of these games, what you thought of them. Maybe you liked them, maybe you didn't like them. I'd also like to hear about the games you guys are playing currently. And if you guys have any recommendations on a game you think I should check out, please let me know because I'm always looking for new games to check out. And you guys have recommended some wonderful titles in the past. I want to thank you guys for watching the video. Take care. You guys have an amazing day and sleep. We'll see you guys next time.